Have you ever landed on a website and just thought, wow, this looks amazing, while another one feels like a throwback to 1995? Just a wall of plain text? Well, the secret behind that difference isn't some kind of web magic. It's actually CSS, the web's own personal stylist. So let's pull back the curtain and see how this all really works. First things first, we gotta understand the problem that CSS was actually built to solve. Think about building a house. You start with a basic frame, right? The 2x4s, the walls, the roof, that's your structure. Well, on the web, that structure is made with something called HTML. It holds all of your content, your text, your images, but it has zero style, none. And here's what that looks like in the real world. On the left, you've got pure HTML. That's the bare frame of our house. Sure, it's functional, you can read the words, but it's not exactly a place you want to hang out. But then look at the right. With a little CSS added, that exact same structure is totally transformed. We've added the paint, the furniture, the cool lighting, everything that turns a house into a home. Or in this case, a web page you actually want to use. So, how do we get from that bare-bones skeleton to that fully designed, beautiful experience? Well, that's where our stylist, CSS, comes into the picture. CSS is the language we use to tell the web browser exactly how to decorate that plain HTML structure. Okay, so its full name is Cascading Style Sheets, or CSS for short. And I really want you to focus on that phrase, enhance the look and feel. This is so important. CSS doesn't change what the content says, it only changes how that content is presented. It's basically the language that lets designers talk directly to your browser and give it aesthetic instructions. And you know what? Hiring this stylist comes with some huge perks. You can use a single style file to control the look of an entire website. Think about that. It saves an incredible amount of time. It also keeps everything looking consistent from page to page. It makes the files smaller so pages load faster. And if you ever want to redesign, it's a total breeze. So the real magic here isn't just about making things look pretty. It's about making the entire design process ridiculously efficient. Okay, so if CSS is a language, then how does it, speak? How do we write these instructions for the browser? Well, it all boils down to one super simple, fundamental idea: the style rule. A style rule is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It's just a single, clear instruction that tells the browser how it should display a specific piece of the web page, whether that's a paragraph, an image, or even a button. Literally every color, every font, every layout choice you see online is just the result of one or more of these rules. And this is it. This is the core syntax, the basic grammar of CSS. Now, I know it might look a little technical, but trust me, it's just a simple sentence. All it's saying is, hey, selector, I want you to change your property to this specific value. That's really it. That one little structure is the foundation of pretty much all modern web design. Let's just break that down really quick. Every single rule has just two parts. First, you have the selector, which is the what. It's the part that points to the HTML element you want to mess with. And second, you have the declaration, which is the how. It holds the property you want to change, like color, and the value you want to give it. So just remember what to style and how to style it. Simple as that. All right, now let's zoom in on what I think is the most powerful part of that rule, the selector. See, a good designer needs different tools for different jobs, right? You wouldn't use a tiny little artist brush to paint an entire wall. Selectors are that toolkit. They let a designer target exactly what they want to style, from the entire page all the way down to a single word. First up, we've got the biggest, broadest tool in the whole kit, the universal selector. I want you to think of this as your paint roller. When you use this selector, the style rule you write gets applied to absolutely every single thing on the page, no exceptions. And it's represented by that little asterisk or star symbol. With a super simple rule, just like this one, you could turn every single piece of text on the entire page white. It's definitely a broad stroke, but it's actually really useful for setting up some baseline styles. Okay, for a little more precision, we have the type selector. This one lets you target all elements of a certain type, like all your paragraphs or all your main headings. It's kind of like deciding that every single window in your house is going to have the exact same white frame. You're styling a whole category of items all at once. So in this example, you can see we're using the HTML tag for a paragraph, which is just P. This rule is telling the browser, hey, go find every single paragraph on this page and make the text color white.
But what if you don't want to style all the paragraphs? What if you just want to highlight a few special ones? Well, that's exactly what the class selector is for. This is like putting a special tag on a few specific chairs in your house so you can paint them a different color from all the others. You group them together with a class.
Now pay very close attention to this symbol here. You see that little dot at the beginning? That's the key. It tells CSS that BG color is a class name. So now any HTML element you decide to give that class to will get these styles. It's the perfect tool for styling specific groups of things. And finally, we have the most specific, most precise tool in the whole kit, the ID selector. This is for that one-of-a-kind, show-stopping statement piece. You know, that unique chandelier in the entryway that needs its own special lighting rule that applies to nothing else in the house. An ID is for one and only one element. Its symbol is the hash sign or the pound sign. This rule will only apply to the one single element that's been given a unique ID of BG color. And that's really the main difference to remember. A class can be used on a whole group of things, but an ID is for one unique individual, a solo act. So here's a quick look at our whole toolkit. You've got the universal star for hitting everything, the type selector for all elements of a certain kind, the class dot for styling specific groups, and the ID hash for that one unique element. This gives a designer an incredible amount of precision and control. Okay, so we know the language, we've got our tools. The last piece of this puzzle is, where do we actually write these rules? Like, where does the design plan live? Well, there are three main ways to do it. These three methods are called inline, internal, and external style sheets. Each one has a very specific job, from making a quick one-off change to creating a grand design plan for an entire website. Let's go back to our house analogy to really get this. An inline style is like taking a marker and scribbling a design note directly onto the wall. It's fast, sure, but it's messy and it only affects that one spot. An internal style sheet is like having a design binder that you keep in that one room. It organizes all the styles for that single page. But the gold standard, the one everybody uses for big projects, is the external style sheet. This is the master blueprint back at the architect's office, one central file that controls the style for the entire website. And that's basically it. In just a few minutes, you've learned the fundamental secret behind what makes the web look the way it does. You seriously have a new superpower now, the ability to see not just the structure, but the style behind it. So let's wrap this all up. We learned that CSS is the stylus that separates a website's structure from its presentation. Its core language is a simple rule made up of a selector and a declaration. It uses a powerful toolkit of selectors to target anything on the page, and you can organize those rules in a few different ways, depending on what you're trying to do. From this moment on, I promise you, when you browse the web, you're going to see it differently. You'll start to see the rules, the selectors, and the styles that are all working behind the scenes. So the question I want to leave you with is this. Every single website you visit uses CSS to shape your experience. What invisible design choices are you going to notice now?